Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Primesberger, Editor Emeritus of eWEEK.com. Thanks for joining us today for this latest segment of eWEEK eSpeaks. It's a year-long series of interviews, very informal interviews with IT thought leaders and entrepreneurs from every corner of the business. Our interview today is Gadi Shamia. Gadi is one of the founders and is the CEO of Replicant.ai. And very interesting name for a company, by the way. Gadi, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Where'd you get the name Replicant, and what do you replicate, if anything?
Yeah, the name has some history, and this is coming from a huge sci-fi fan. The idea behind the company initially was to replicate the experience that callers have when they speak with a human using a robot, using a thinking machine. The team was very into sci-fi and thought that the Replicant will be a good reference for that. And ever since, the majority of the people love it because, oh, Replicant, I love this movie. And
yeah,
have interesting conversations around that.
Yeah, I saw that. The movie was, what, 2001, something like that, a while back, and it's a kind of a cult movie, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's way cool. So, so Gadi, tell me just a little bit about your background, a couple minutes on your background coming into Replicant. What have you done previously?
I spent most of my life in enterprise software. I got into software accidentally in my mid-20s and ended up co-founding a company that SAP acquired, and it's now its main SMB ERP product. The product is called SAP Business One, and I think it celebrates right now about 25 years of existence, and it's still going, which is really exciting to see the new versions and the new updates. Many years after I left SAP. I spent a good amount of time at SAP and then was involved with multiple startups. And my journey got me into customer service in late 2014 when I met the CEO and co-founder of TalkDesk. Back then, 20 people company, was a CEO in his 20s, and I joined forces with him as the COO. And had the pleasure and opportunity to grow this company from just 20 employees to a few hundred, and now it's a many time over unicorn and a very successful company. And what TalkDesk does is connect agents to customers in a traditional contact center service sense. So it got me deep into the customer service space. I end up spending hours and hours and days in call centers, listening to call flows and get really close to this use case and what it means. And it led me directly into Replicant, where we try to automate this more mundane transactional calls to free up agents to take on more complex, emotional, connecting calls with customers. So they don't waste their time on just typing information in. They can focus on connecting with customers and helping to build a brand, which is what good customer service should do.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm wondering if maybe you've found the solution to this, because, you're right. Mundane is the word for call center business. A lot of it, answering the same questions, getting the same answers, et cetera, et cetera. And I imagine the turnover in those call centers is pretty high. There's no question about it. I think in some
it's under a year. There's almost no job that has a higher turnover than the call center space.
Yeah.
And you've seen how we automated many of these mundane tasks out of the contact center for years. Like dispensing cash at a bank is a mundane task. A machine does it now. Mm-hmm. Printing your boarding pass when you come to the airport. Remember, we used to queue and speak with a person and smile to us or not. Now you do it on your phone in the Uber on the way to the airport. Yet the call center space did not automate almost anything. We still, if you think of the call that you will place today to a call center, the software the agent use might be different, but the call itself is exactly the same. As a caller, you have no difference. You still wait on hold, sometimes minutes, sometimes hours, just to speak with an agent on a telephone. So not big difference in the first customer service call I've probably placed 30 years ago.
Yeah. So I guess my question would be, cutting right to the point on this, is how do you make this a humanoid experience. In other words, the bot, the agent you're talking to is obviously an AI creation. But how in the world can you make it so that it's not creepy or sounds real? I mean, that's obviously going to be one of your secret sauces. You probably can't explain that to me here and now, but at a high level, how do you make it really work?
You know, there's actually three elements to make it really work, and two of them are going to be probably more surprising and less and more benign and more surprising because of that. The first is the technology. We put a lot of focus and emphasis on a few things. One is on the speed between turns. If you just follow this conversation we have, you ask me a question, and usually I'll answer within about a second. That's the time it takes me to kind of think of the answer and start answering. And this feels normal and natural. You cross the 3-second line, and it feels like somebody's on mute. You know, think about it next time you're driving in your car and somebody on the outside does not respond right away because they were distracted. You say, "Hi, you still there?" You think the call just got dropped. So under a second is the first thing that made this conversation feels very real. The second is accuracy. We train models that based solely on phone conversations and customer service phone conversations, which means that we can be accurate in about 95% of the turns. In layman terms, means that if a call had 20 turns back and forth, actually 40 turns back and forth, but 20 turns where we need to understand the customer, we're going to get 19 right. So in the vast majority of the calls, we get all of them right. If we don't get one right, we'll reprompt. And this too is no different than an agent experience. Agents get distracted. They get text messages. They check Facebook when they are on the phone, again, because of the mundane job. They wouldn't always understand what you say. So it's very similar to this experience. The third element on the technology part is we integrate to every system that the customer has. So the customer feels the benefit even before they have to think about whether they speak with a robot or not. When we answer them right away, get to the point, say, "Hey, we've seen you already ordered under this phone number. Are you Greg?" And the conversation starts this way. People say, "Oh, it's efficient." And really, that's the brand we're trying to create for ourselves. We don't try to be creepy and be fake human. We don't laugh. We don't do ums and ahs. We say we're a thinking machine at the beginning of every conversation. So what we try to give you is efficiency. You don't wait on hold. You speak with someone right away, and often our calls takes about half the time they take a human agent. Now, the second trick here is we pick the right calls. If a call is very connected, very emotional, we want an agent to deal with that because we don't want to fake empathy. We can say what a good agent will say, but you wouldn't believe us because you know we're a machine. So we want to make sure that when we have this type of calls, we're sending them to an agent and let people do what people are really great at, which is connect to others, create human empathy. And again, being these brand ambassadors for their companies rather than being, typers into a computer on behalf of the company.
Yeah, very good. Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Breaking it down like that really helps our readers, understand it, helps me understand it. So thank you. The speed of reaction to the questions, I think, is really important too. I think you're right. Tell me about how this works. Is this a software as a service, Gadi, or is this something that runs in a server or in a cloud or what?
Yeah, we run completely in the cloud. In a way, think of it as a bit of a fire and forget. We identify call flows you want to automate. We work with the customers to create scripts and create the conversation designs. We think of a conversation as a user interface, just using voice and using the phone, but it needs to be good. The conversation, the same technology can produce a great conversation, a terrible conversation based on its design. So that's something we're focusing on. And then we use the first few weeks after we launch to get data and retrain the models for the specific use case. And after that, we move into a fine-tune mode where a call comes in, we will answer it, deal with a call. In some cases, we'll pass it to an agent if we feel that agents can deal better with a task. And this will be the interface point between us and the agents and the company. But the thing works 24/7, can work when your call center is closed, and it's offer elasticity, which is what customers now crave the most, because this lack of elasticity is what caused you to wait on hold when you call customer service. It's the fact that at this very moment, there are too few agents and too many callers, and the call center is using the whole time to, in a way, flatten this curve and match demand and supply. So the fact that we eliminate hold create an immediate benefit for the customer. And it's all going to run in the cloud, in 2 data centers and so on. So we can guarantee to our customer the system is going to work because we're mission critical. There are customers we take 30,000 calls a day for, and during peak hours, sometimes 200 calls a minute. We cannot be down, otherwise there's no customer can have a plan B. Having 200 agents ready for a time we're down. So we have to perform.
Yeah, for sure. Couple of questions that are related. Is this a self-learning type application? In other words, is the information, the data that's collected by each call, does that go into a database, a central database at the company, or does each customer have a little pocket of the database, or how does that work?
It's a combination of both. There are many intents that we share across customers because there's nothing secret or unique about them. All the ways to say yes, all the way to say no. It sounds trivial, but people say things like yes, but no, which still mean no. For example, hey, do you want to have a beer with me next week? Yeah, no, next week I'm busy. That's a no. And we need to know that that's a no versus yes, which is what you actually said at the beginning of the sentence. So all this are generic, and this gives us a great way to start very quickly with almost 70% of the conversations already designed. But then there are specific terms for a customer, specifically around whether they're in the food industry or the insurance, which we serve our customers, or roadside assistance. And this turn are trained separately for the specific customer and saved specifically for them. So the rule of thumb is if there's any information which is sensitive or unique, it trained for one customer. All the generics hold yes, no, goodbye, customer survey, customer satisfaction surveys are all generic. And it's a combination of assisted learning and self-learning. Customers have a way to use the user interface, flag calls. We have our own QA team that can flag specific turns with recommendations, but we also look for self-learning opportunities. The example will be if I ask you something and you answer with this yes but no, we may have not understood you the first time it happened to us, but then we've seen more and more people do that, and when we prompt them, they say no. So okay, so when somebody said yes, but I'm busy next week, when we prompt them, they actually say no. This means it's a no, and we can train the system that this way of saying no is a no. Sounds complex, but it's not that complex.
No, it isn't. So we got about a minute left, Gadi. What would you see off the top of your head, a trend that your customers maybe be asking you for here in this side of the business? Smart bots. Do you see a trend we should know about?
The trend we see is customers really want to automate tier 1 customer service, and they do it because they want elasticity and not deal with the massive challenge of getting enough agents in every specific minute in the day. So elasticity is what companies want. I think everybody understands that customer service differentiates you. And what we see with customers is they dip their toe in the water and say, oh, how might it work? This is like my old IVR. They realize immediately it's not. It's an intelligent thinking machine. And it really helps to increase customer satisfaction. We have customers that see 20% increase customer satisfaction on our calls compared to agent calls, and then they grow with us. So the trend right now, if you want an Uber trend, people want elasticity, and many companies now dip their toes into the water just to discover it works really well and want to grow with it quite significantly.
Very good. All right. Gadi Shamia is the CEO of Replicant.ai, and the name of the company is the same as your website, I bet. That's pretty convenient.
It is convenient. But make it easy. This is how customer first.
Easy is always good and never bad. Just you know that already. And so Replicant does really smart bots and automates contact centers, but not in a creepy way. How's that for a summary?
That's a great tagline. It should go on our website.
Gadi, thank you very much. I'll send you a bill for that. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, and for everybody following along to the end here, thank you very much. Have a great rest of your eWeek. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.